Welcome to the Tim Johnson Show, located in Grand Blanc, Michigan. Actually, today is a special day. I want to say Happy Father's Day to every father out there. And we're going to have a Father's Day special right here on the Tim Johnson Show. I have three special guests with me. My wife, Melinda Johnson, for over 24 years. My daughter, Mariah Johnson, who's actually a student at University of Northern Texas. She's actually here just for the next month to do some online studying. And my son, Timothy Johnson II. He's here from Hampton University, and the same thing, he's actually taking classes online due to the COVID-19. But today, Tim Johnson Jr. is going to take over the show, and he's going to actually, he's going to take it from here. Go ahead, son.
Good afternoon, my name is Timothy Johnson II. I'm a junior biochemistry major, leadership studies minor, currently attending Hampton University.
Good afternoon, my name is Mariah Johnson. I'm a senior marketing student, minoring in studio art at the University of North Texas.
And hello, my name is Melinda Johnson. I'm the wife of Timothy Johnson. Over, 24 years it will be this year. I'm the proud wife, I should say. And I just love that we're doing this show because a lot of people don't know him the way his family does. He has a side of him that is very kind, very gentle. People that see him in the police force or as chief, they think he's just a hardcore person, but he does not bring that side of him home. So we just want to talk a little bit about how he is personally.
So, this is a Father's Day special episode of the Tim Johnson Show. We are the youngest of 6 children, and we're back home for the summer. While we're with him, we wanted to share and highlight some of his best qualities. So, Dad, as a father of 6, what was the hardest part of raising children?
In this actually time in society right now, what's going on around the world, actually it was just the fear of trying to keep everybody safe. Because a lot of your brothers and sisters, the older ones, I should say, is away from home and living their life. And actually, when you guys went off to school, I was always worrying about your safety because, I know what goes on out in the streets and I know how danger can find you anywhere. So I was extremely worried about that, and I think I showed those emotions when I dropped you guys off at college. It brought tears to my eyes just because, like I say, you were entering into a world. And I know you were prepared for it. Every last one of my children, I know you guys was prepared for it, but it was just the thought and just the knowing what could happen out there that actually bothered me.
Dad, how has being a father prepared you to be the sheriff of Genesee County?
Well, you got to have love and you got to be a strong leader, dedicated. You got to be, actually, it takes more than just having a baby to make a father, and just saying you're a father because you actually took part in that baby coming into this world. You got to be generous, you got to be understanding. There's a lot of times that, you have to be stern with your children, but then there's a lot of times that you have to show them that the other side of you, which is on the loving side, and you can't be afraid to tell your children that you love them and give them a hug and a kiss on the forehead because, that's actually what it takes to mold that child into knowing that he's loved or she's loved, but also is what helps them, through their life to know how to treat their family. So, it was more than a notion. I started as a young man being a father, but I've always been there for every one of the children that I had. I've never actually, and I've always loved them all the same. I didn't, have a favorite or anything like that, like some parents do. Although I gotta say, with the last two, you guys, I know your mom and myself poured a lot more into you guys, but that was because you guys were the youngest, you guys was the babies, and when you left home, it left us, empty nesters, and I cried when all my kids left, but you guys really just broke the mold, because it really lets us know that, that we're getting older, and it lets us know that, that it's time that we can't get back. And there's some things that I think about all the time when you guys are not here, and that's the vacations that we went on. And, I might have been in the tired mode, or even coming home from work, I might have been in the tired mode, and I went off into my own little world. But it was really heart-wrenching to see you guys walk off, and I know you're grown, and you're starting your own life, and it was like, wow, the times that I missed when I should have been, you know, actually even more involved in what you was doing, and I was too tired to be because I was too busy out there chasing homicide suspects or working on drug cases or just trying to keep the city of Flint safe, you know, and I kind of neglected my own family in that process. At least I feel I do, you know. I know we've had conversation about this before, and I know you guys said some real loving words, and you know, it made me, you might have thought it made me feel better, but actually it didn't. I still wish I would have spent more time with you guys, you know, when you were coming up.
So, Dad, what was something you always taught us as a father?
To be respectful, to be kind to others, to be patient, you know, and actually always do your best, and keep your word. Keep your word, because your word is your bond. When you give your word, you know, people respect that when you keep it, and that's not going on in too much, you know, during this day and time. But really, and being patient with other people, try to be understanding, and both you guys definitely possess those qualities. You know, both you guys got big hearts for everybody. You know, especially the way you treat your friends and the way you treat your family members. You guys are there for a lot of vacations and holidays, and you guys are always calling saying, hey, Dad, happy Father's Day, Merry Christmas, Mom, happy birthday, or whatever the occasion may be. So, you know, you guys were easy to actually impart information into you guys, because you soaked it up like a sponge. You really did. You followed, you listened, you never really, how they say, bucked the system. You never really went off and tried to do your own thing. You always listened when we gave you that advice on how to act and how to treat other people, and actually even in your school and trying to help you with your school, you always took that advice and you ran with it. I've never seen no disrespect out of neither one of you guys, which I wouldn't have accepted it anyway. But you know, but you never did. You know, you never did. So, but I didn't have a heavy hand. You know, I didn't have to have a heavy hand with you guys. You guys listened. You were very respectful. You know, and that was greatly appreciated by myself and your mom. You know, Mariah's always been strong-willed, you know, but it was always in a good way. She's always had her own. She's always stood on her own as far as even from a baby. You know, she's always been strong-willed, you know, but that's one of her better qualities that she has.
So how do you feel about the current status of the United States of America?
Yeah. From a police officer's point of view, for the last 40-something years, I tell you, it's heart-wrenching to see that we're still going through what we're going through. 100 years later, over 100 years later, after we've been, you know, the blacks have been freed and the whole 9 yards, it's really heart-wrenching to see how we're still being treated in this world, when people should be loving on each other and caring for each other. That's what's going to change this world, matter of fact. Is just loving on each other. All of that, you can reform all you want to, but when it comes down to, you can't reform racism. You know, that when somebody has that in them, it's there and it's there. But if you show them love and you continue to show them love, even when they do show you the wrong, hatred,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and you continue to show love, that's what's going to change that heart. You know, so and I tell you, I really pray that these police departments around here actually keep their word, you know, where they're saying they're going to reform this and reform that. And I kind of find it really hard to reform something when you don't have no black officers working in your department, but you got a black residency in your community, but you don't have nobody to represent those residents, as far as having an officer that mirror those residents, the same race or you know, as the residents that living in your community. That you don't have that, or you don't have black personnel working in your police department. How do you reform from that? How do you reform that? You know, so it's really about being honest with the people. You know, and the way they can reform it is to start hiring and putting blacks in their ranks. They all go through the same academy. They all get the same training. But you know, I just pray that these cities and states and government, they actually make the change that they say they're going to make now as far as reform.
I have a question. As a father, how is it did you feel as far as raising 6 children and being able to provide for them? Talk about some of the things that you did do in order to provide for 6 children and get us to where living in a comfortable neighborhood, to make sure, because your job was a very dangerous job, and you always used to say you wanted us to be protected.
I've always put my family first. I've always done that. It wasn't about me. it was about my family, making sure that my family was safe and secure. Matter of fact, I don't even buy my own clothes. I don't go out and buy clothes. Melinda buy everything that I wear. And that's because I'm too busy out there doing what I do to make sure that my family is safety and provided for.
Some of the business opportunities that you took advantage of, or
I hard worker, always have been. Never sun up to sundown. Never depended on anybody else. If I asked somebody to do something for me and it wasn't getting done quick enough, then I did it myself to make sure it was done, because I don't let one day go by, or didn't let one day go by, that I didn't make use of it. Instead of saying I'll put it off to tomorrow, I can come back and do that tomorrow. No, I'll do what I can do today, because tomorrow's going to bring another whole list of things. So really, just my family meant the world to me, and I'm talking about my whole family, mom and dad and all of them, because we've actually made sure that our mothers and fathers was taken care of also, and brothers and sisters whenever they needed something. And just actually the love of family. The love of family. My mother put it in me, and then family was always first for her. And I remember when I got my first house, I didn't have a washing machine and dryer, but I was working, and she surprised me with a washing machine and dryer. But she was always that kind of a mother. And these two right here, Tim and Mariah, you guys never, and neither did Felicia and Crystal and Erica. None of them actually never had a hard life where we lived in, and where they had to actually want for anything. And I remember I'll say this. I remember when Felicia came and asked me, could she date one time, and she was like 15 or 16 years old, and I told her no, she wasn't old enough. And then she said, well, Dad, how do you expect me to be street smart if I don't get out here and learn this and learn that out in the streets? And I tell you, it didn't take me nothing but a second to come up with an answer for that one. And I looked her square in her face and said, I know you do. I looked her square in her face and I said, I don't expect you to be street smart. Leave the streets to me. You just be smart. You just be smart and leave the streets to me. And that's exactly what I meant. And that's why I stayed out in the streets the way I did, and I provided for my family. I didn't have to steal from nobody. I didn't have to take from anybody. I got out there and I worked twice as hard, 2 and 3 and 4 jobs, but my family never wanted for nothing.
But I was so grateful that you had the vision to be the entrepreneur also. Besides your police job, you were, hats off to you. Yeah. I don't know how you do it, how you did it, because it takes a drive in a man to
I never
do that.
Put my trust in the Flint Police Department to be my sole provider. Jobs come and jobs go. You can lose your job on the drop of a dime. I could have been laid off or anything like that. I put my trust in God. A lot of prayer went down. I prayed my way through. That's why I tell Tim all the time, man, make sure, some of the things that he was seeking, that he pray about it, and I mean that sincerely, because I know that I wouldn't be where I'm at if I hadn't been blessed to be here. And I mean blessed by God. I don't mean because I went out there and I was the smartest one on the block, or I worked the hardest on the block. I think that it was a lot of doors that was open for me just by the grace of God, so and all the jobs and businesses that we've been in, from mortgage companies to rental property, security companies that we've owned, all of that was just hair salon, clothing stores. We've owned all kind of businesses, my wife and I, and we was very successful in it, where actually it provided us with a lifestyle that we were able to provide for our children, a lifestyle to actually get them started in life. Absolutely. Just to get them started in life. And that was just a lot of hard work and a lot of determination, but it was a lot of prayers that went down too, so I'll tell anybody, if you really want to change your life, then you need to get on your hands and knees and give God the glory for what he's done in your life, because I don't even care if you're just still living. The bottom line is you don't have to be. I know people that's 19, 20, and 30 years old dying from whatever the cause may be, but they're coming and they're leaving here at early ages. So just to be able to walk around here and live and breathe, is give God the glory for it.
What wisdom can you share with the young fathers?
Well, I tell you, like I say, making a baby don't make you a father. When you have to sacrifice to make sure that there's food on the table for your kids, and even if it means you go without eating. I've never came home and said that who ate the food. If it was eaten, then one of the family members must have eaten it, So that was another story. But making a baby does not make you a father. You have to be involved in that child's life to where you're actually showing them love and you're providing for them and for the necessities that they need to come up to be young, productive adults. So that the advice is work hard, show them a lot of love on them, and no soldier left behind. That means I don't care what kind of problems you might have on onset or bringing that child up, don't leave them behind. Still work with them and love on them and try to get them to see the right way, even though they do want to go the wrong way. You still got to pull them back and don't leave them behind, and don't say, well, you know what, he's hard-headed, he'll learn the hard way. No, you don't want him to learn the hard way. You want him to keep trying. You keep putting it in them, and one day it'll click. It'll click as long as you're telling them the right things, and they're saying you do the right things. Because if you're out there doing something that you ain't got no business doing, and then you're going to tell them not to do it, that don't work. It might work on television, but it don't work in real life. So you have to be what you want. You have to say and be what you want them to be, and because they're going to follow your lead. And it's not one of my kids that can sit here and tell you they ever seen me doing anything wrong, illegal, wrong, whatever you want to say. Not one.
Don't get so serious.
I am serious.
You're very passionate about it, I know.
Mariah, do you have anything else to say?
No further questions.
No further questions.
She took all my questions. So.
No, there are times where that you do laugh, you do smile, you do. A lot of people see this toughness about you. You get very passionate when you start.
There's times that I laugh, I smile, and there's times that I cry. Each time one of my kids left home and they left home to go to school, I cried. I remember the last time when I dropped Erica off, and Tim was in the car, and Mariah was in the car, and they were laughing because I was in the front driving. I think I might have even got in the back seat and cried. And when I dropped Tim off at school, he made the comment, and he was staring at me. I said, "What are you looking at me like that for?" And he said, "I'm just waiting for you to start crying so we can get it over with." Love my kids dearly. I was not one of the parents that actually couldn't wait till my kids get out of the door and I was going to run off into the sunset. I was never one of those kind of parents. I never have been, never will be. Walking through the home with you guys not being there and looking at the swing sets in the backyard and I'm being real about it and walking by your rooms and stuff like that and not hearing you guys in there or just not knowing that you guys are not up there. It's really a hurting feeling to me. It is. But the joy comes when I know that you guys are both off on a college, university campus somewhere, taking care of your business to be the young, productive adults that we raised you to be. That's where the joy comes. If you were back doing something negative, which I wouldn't stand for anyway, but if you was, that would be something of a different sort. But knowing that you guys are out there doing the right thing and going the right way, and that's the blessing. That's the blessing for me. So
even though you raised 6 children, I should say we did, but in the community, you have so many young men that you have known as probably, I don't want to say 7 years old, 5 years old, that might not have had a father in their lives, and
they call me dad. They call me dad.
Uncle.
Yep. They call me dad. A lot of them call me dad. A lot of them call me, that too. But
you gave them hope.
That was
a role model.
That was the times that I was away from home, when I should have been at home probably with my own, But those were the times and I don't regret any of it in that aspect, because a lot of those kids today are doing good things and they're productive young adults, and I know that if I hadn't been there, they could have went the wrong way, So
lost to the street.
Exactly, and a lot of the young men that I have worked with, actually, that's just where they were at. They were in the streets. They were in the streets, So and even to the day, some of those same ones that we were dealing with when I was 12, when they were 12 and 13, they're 40 and 39 and 40 years old right now, and they're still with us today and still trying to work with us and come around us. Yeah, exactly. So it was a blessing. That was a blessing within itself. Yeah, just being able to be a help. And it was a lot of mothers and fathers say, hey, can you talk to my son? Can you talk to my daughter? They're going through this, they're going through that. And we've had those tough conversations,
Absolutely.
So whether they was people from out in the community or whether it was people, church members, we dealt with it all, where we actually tried to give a positive air. And you've done that yourself to some of the young ladies. I thinking back right now, where you tried to speak wisdom and knowledge into their life, because and actually that's exactly what we're all here for. I pray in the future that Tim and Mariah both will take the time to actually be a blessing to somebody else, because everyone needs a little help sometime.
A mentor.
Exactly, sometimes. So just remember, and both of you guys are involved in so many positive things that other young people your age that never had an opportunity. Matter of fact, both of you guys been around, partly around the world. We've been a lot of places where you guys was exposed to stuff at a young age that most kids will never be exposed to. Number one, but and some of them, you know, they could not envision what you've already done in your lifetime. You know, so. You know, and that's what I wish to impart, or you guys to impart in your family. You know, be the vision and the blessing that you want your kids to be. You know, so, and prayerfully, you know, they when they grow up, they won't depart from what you taught them, and you keep them in church. You keep their hands in God's hand. You keep them knowing who God is, and you know, you put His word in them, and you won't have to worry about them when they grow up. You know, that was actually how it happened to me. You know, my mother and father, my mother was a very, I don't want to call her religious lady, but she was a praying lady. She was a praying lady, and you know, and she would always put it in us, did you pray about it, son? You know, and things like that. When you get older, the second I had an issue, the first thing came to my mind is what my mother was saying in the back of my head was, did I pray about it? And I had to think about that. And then I would get on my hands and knees, and yes, I got on my hands and knees plenty nights, and I prayed about a lot of things, you know, so, and that's just where it's at. That's just real talk, you know. So fathers need to love on their daughters and their sons. They really need to love on them while they got them and while they can. And actually that way that kid will never grow up feeling like they got to run to somebody else for love, especially for your daughters. Your daughter should never feel like the father wasn't loving enough for her and she got to run to somebody else for love, you know. So
I remember, like, I had to be probably like 4 or 5, like first grade, kindergarten, and this was like when we were working like third shift. Yeah, and it would be like every night. It was never good night. It was always, I'll see you in the morning. Always.
Yeah.
But to wrap this show up, I think that sums it up for all of us. Happy Father's Day, dads, all the fathers out there. Happy Father's Day. Enjoy your day.
Yes, happy Father's Day.
Yes, happy Father's Day.
My hat, if I had a hat, I would top it off to you. Because what a man that you are. Not just a man, a father, a wonderful husband, and I am grateful that you are in my life. I really am. And just the example that you have set for our children, and it's not every day that you see a man that has been successful. But not only that, in your work ethic, successful in that, but successful as a father, if you want to say successful. I know we are have been tremendously blessed, but it's not every day that you see a man that has raised 6 children and 4 college graduates and 2 that will soon be coming out.
And that's just on that.
And that is, I mean,
Period.
I'm forever grateful, and I just love you dearly.
well, thank you. I appreciate that, guys. You know, again, I'm getting a little teary-eyed, but you know, God is good. He has truly blessed myself. I gave my heart to Him a long time ago when I was a young man. I think I was in the 5th grade when I asked Him to come into my life and lead, guide, and order my steps. And I tell you, He's been doing it ever since. And even though my mind might not always been stayed on Him, I know that I never would have made it through a 40-year law enforcement career without getting hurt, without getting shot, and I'm talking about, I worked the most dangerous positions in the police department. I wasn't sitting behind a desk. I was out there doing raids. I was out there trying to find homicide suspects. I was out there trying to find the dope dealers that was dealing large quantities of dope. We did a lot of undercover investigations, and I tell you, I know it was nothing but the grace of God that brought me home every night, whether it was for a couple hours before I had to go back out again. It was nothing but the grace of God that kept me alive. But you know, so I just got to give Him all the praise and the glory, because I know that's how I'm sitting here today. And I know you guys, for what you think of me, believe me, that was by the grace. That was by the grace of God that His word was in me enough to even make sure that you guys was taken care of. Because and the way I treated, my wife, your mother, so. Without going all into getting all teary-eyed about it,
Drop a tear.
First of all, I guess I just want to say before we end the show, I thank God, and I'll give Him all the glory for where my life is today. because I know it was only by His hand that I'm where I'm at. I know it was only by His hand that I'm where I'm at in life. So let me say thank you, Jesus. Thank you for your blessings. Thank you for your grace. Thank you for your mercy, and thank you for my family. He couldn't have blessed me more. If I left here tomorrow, I wouldn't. I'd die a happy man. I'm serious, and I say that all the time. I've lived my life, and that's probably not the right thing to say, but I'm saying I lived my life. God has truly blessed me every step of the way. So if I left here tomorrow, I would die a happy man. So nobody would have to worry and say, I wonder whether he was happy or not.
You're not going nowhere.
That's the way I live my life. I've always said I'm not leaving here. It's all on God's timing, and I don't feel like he's done with me yet. But I'm just saying if it does come to that, I thank God for what He has done, because He has truly blessed me, and He blessed me with a beautiful family also. So thank you. To those fathers out there, we thank you. We appreciate you viewing in. And we just want to say Happy Father's Day to every father out there. Be blessed, stay prayerful, and love on each other. Thank you much. Just want to give a couple of updates in closing. Tim Johnson Jr. is going to actually tell us exactly what he's going to school for.
So I'm studying biochemistry right now with a minor in leadership studies, and what that pretty much means is when I graduate, I'll have my minor in leadership studies. I'm a William R. Harvey Leadership Institute Fellow. It's actually what this PIN is. We believe in the 10 principles of leadership model, as well as service, commitment, and character, which I believe that goes hand in hand with what I want to become, which is an anesthesiologist, a doctor that puts you to sleep before you go into surgery.
And then Mariah has actually really been blessed with the gift of being an artist. I don't know where it came from. I didn't have anything to do with that one. And but she's very good with her painting. She paints. She sold paintings. Just unbelievable. I'll let her explain that one. So what are you going to school for?
I'm currently going to school for marketing with a minor in studio art, 4.0 GPA. But yes, for the past 3 years, I have been trying to better my artistic skills that I got from my mom. She's a seamstress and event planner, decorator. Most of my basically my muse, all of my skills come from her. At an early age, I realized that I had the gift of art. So just been trying to better my qualities and my skills in that aspect, and continuing to get my degree.
And also, you got some of those skills from your dad, because she has tools,
my dedicated, yes.
Think about the hammer, the nails that created.
Yeah, I know how to install shelves.
He is a builder.
Yep.
Yeah, I was really surprised on that one when I came home and seen she had the same kind of tools that I had, and I asked her why did she go out and buy them. Because we already had them, circular saws and everything, and she's down there doing her own little thing. But she actually definitely got the skills to do whatever she want to do. Like I say, very headstrong. And actually, Tim didn't mention, but he's a 4.0 also, and we're very proud of both of them, So to the parents out there, we know that a lot of students actually graduated in 2020. We want to say congrats to all the students out there that graduated in 2020. Yeah. Best of luck. We're praying for everybody. We want to pray for everybody that they have a meaningful and they further their education in college. But they stick with whatever their plans are. Don't let nobody turn you around, turn you back, tell you can't do it. You can do anything you put your minds to. And we just appreciate to see all of the graduating students. And we participated in a couple of drive-by graduations. And it's just a blessing to see students come out of school and further their education and go as far as they can go in life. Be the person that you want to be and that you want to see everybody else be. You do your best. And always give your best. In school, and if you don't understand the subject, get a tutor, get help. And if you do understand it better than everybody else, then be a tutor and be a blessing to someone else. So this world is better with everybody in it. So we will move forward. We will do great things if if everybody continue to love on each other and just pray for each other and just be a blessing to each other. And work together. So we thank you, and thank you to your parents for getting you there. Be blessed.